Order up! What is up? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Order Up Podcast. Of course, I'm Taryn Williams. So, on this episode, I wanted to talk about, kind of continue from the last episode where I was talking about the PS5 versus the Xbox Series X, kind of which one, did a better job in terms of their gaming showcases. But you can't talk about the next generation of consoles, quote unquote, while talking about the first console for the newest generation, which actually was Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Switch dropped March 2017, or yeah, 2017. Oh, I thought I said 2007. That's not right. March 2017. I said it right the first time. And I remember when the Switch came out, everybody was like, "Wait, what? This is Nintendo's, kind of jump into like the next generation of consoles." And it was pretty unique because if you kind of like go back to like the 80s and 90s, Nintendo was kind of like always the pioneer, always the company to get like their console out first. And this is the first time in a long time Nintendo was first because Sony dropped the PlayStation. The PlayStation really kind of had this hold on kind of the game community, and then Xbox did the came out with, or Microsoft came out with their Xbox series of consoles, and then they kind of had their own hold on markets. So Nintendo always seemed kind of late to the party, and so the Nintendo Switch was kind of Nintendo getting back to kind of their old form, and like we got something new, and they dropped it real early. So technically, this next generation of consoles started 3 years ago. Nintendo got the jump on it. And so I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch. I want to talk about kind of their dominance so far and kind of this, well, they've been the only console for this generation, but just kind of how the Switch has really been dominating and just kind of how they've kind of got Nintendo into a very unique place, back to kind of where they used to be. And the cool thing about the Switch is I kind of talked about this with my uncle a couple of months ago, is the Nintendo Switch is literally the best parts of the Wii and the Wii U put together. I'm actually gonna talk about some sales numbers in a little bit, but yeah, because like the Wii is actually still the highest selling console for Nintendo, and according to an article from what is it, May 7th, 2020 of this year from Nintendo Life, the Wii actually has sold in hardware sales in the million about 102 million dollars in hardware sales. That's insane. $102 million in hardware sales. And so the Wii was very special. The Wii kind of hit this casual market really hard, especially with like the Wii Sports. And everybody was doing bowling and tennis, and like Wii Sports really carried the Wii. And Nintendo made so much money in that time frame. But after kind of the novelty wore off, where when the casuals kind of go back to doing their other things, your hardcore fans will kind of sustain you. But the Wii didn't really have too many hard games that really fit the hardcore community. They did like, I think they did like their Zeldas. They did I think was Smash on the Wii or was it on the Wii U? I think Smash might have been on. I think Brawl was on the Wii or Wii U. I don't remember. But like Nintendo, had some game that kind of could carry it. But after that initial surge of everyone playing like Wii Sports and doing stuff, it just kind of fell off. And then it kind of lost its eye. It kind of lost its lust, if you will, which was really sad because the Wii was killing in the beginning. Like the Wii was selling gangbusters, and it kind of fell off. And then the Wii U came out. I forget what the Wii U came out. A few years later, and the Wii U didn't do anything. The Wii U is actually the worst selling uh console in terms of hardware sales, according to that same article, where the Wii U sold about 14 million, did about $14 million in hardware sales, and it's the lowest sales that Nintendo has had. But the Nintendo Switch is in a really good spot, and the Nintendo Switch has the combination of the Wii and the Wii U, because the Joy Cons are very reminiscent of the nunchucks from the Wii, and then the Switch itself, where you can actually play it portably, and you can take it out the dock and play it portably, is very reminiscent of the Wii U. So they took kind of these two pieces, kind of the main gimmick from the Wii and the main gimmick from the Wii U, and they switched it up, pun intended. That's where we came up with the Switch, and the Switch is really cool where it could be a portable, it can, be docked and it can be connected to your TV. The Switch actually has a kickstand on it, so you can like, if you're at the airport, you don't feel like pulling it in your hand, put the kickstand, take the Joy-Cons out and play like that. You can have like a little Joy-Con controller adapter, slide the Joy-Cons into that and play your Switch like that. So it has all these, ways you can play, which is really, really cool. And then also they came out with the Switch Lite, which dropped September of 2019, I think. Somewhere around there is when the Switch Lite came out. And basically, the Switch Lite is pretty much their answer to the Game Boy. It's pretty like the predecessor to the Game Boy because it's a Switch with like a very hard plastic back, like a Game Boy casing, and it's no longer you can't connect to the TV. It's strictly portable, So it's very much the Switch Game Boy. If the Switch and the Game Boy kind of had a baby, that's what the Switch Lite is, which is fine. So it kind of gives you, so if you don't want to, like, if you are on the go a whole lot, you don't really want the dock and stuff. It's a little bit cheaper. It came out a little bit cheaper too. And when I was buying my Switch back in 2019, I was debating if I wanted to get a Switch Lite or get the regular Switch. And the thing that made me buy the regular Switch was I spent the extra money on it, was just for that versatility, for that, where I could play it, to go, and I could, just be kind of chilling, lean back in a chair and play like a Game Boy, play like a portable, or hook it up to the TV, play on the big screen. So that was kind of my selling point for that. And I like the versatility of, because I think the versatility of the Switch is what makes the Switch so unique. Now, in terms of the Switch sales, and actually according to the article, the Switch actually, as of this, the article is from May 7th of 2020, but the article with the numbers are as accurate of March 31st of 2020. So the Nintendo Switch, as of March 31st, has about $56 million in hardware sales, which is really good, and ranks it third in Nintendo. I think it ranks third, which is really, really good. And so the Wii is in first, and I'm going to talk about the hardware sales case for Nintendo. So the top three Nintendo of this article is the Wii at $102 million in hardware sales. The NES, which only did about $62 million in hardware sales, which is crazy. That's a huge drop off between first and second. And the Switch is right behind the NES at 56 million in sales, in hardware sales. And then right under the Nintendo Switch is the SNES with $49 million in hardware sales, or just over $49 million in hardware sales. And then you had the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, and the Wii U. And it's kind of crazy when you think about that. And for me, and I was saying, I think another reason why the Switch is doing so well is that the Switch is like, I'm pretty sure, and I don't have like an article, this is my personal opinion, it has more third-party support, like more third-party games since the GameCube. Because the GameCube, as you can tell by the hardware sales, it didn't sell that well. Now, I think Nintendo did a great job of marketing the GameCube like they should have. But it had a lot of third-party games. Like, it had Maddens, it had, 2Ks, it had NCAA, it had the sports games. But you also had, like, Killer 7, and you had Tales of Symphonia, you had the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, you had all these different games, like, from all these different places. It wasn't just Nintendo, branded stuff. It wasn't just your Mario games. I mean, they had those, and they had like the Metroid Prime games, which did really, really well. And it had like Castlevania, and had like, did it have a Castlevania? I think it did. I think it had kind of a weird Castlevania, I think, but it had like Resident Evil and stuff like that. But it had like a lot of third party games. So the hardware sales weren't the best. Let me see the software sales. Yeah, like even though the hardware sales weren't the best for the GameCube, the software sales, it did about $209 million in software sales, which is 2 times more than the Wii U did. So, and it's just under the Nintendo 64 in terms of software sales. So it's right in a good spot, because the N64 had pretty good third-party support too, but the GameCube had probably some of the best third-party support in that genre, because it was right up there. Like, it didn't get all the same things that the PlayStation and the PS2 and the Xbox got, but it did. It held its own. It did pretty well. But it's just like, I think just the GameCube using those little ass discs, the little discs the GameCube used, and just the marketing. I just don't think a lot of people got behind the GameCube, and a lot of people probably knew the GameCube wasn't going to be sustained just because of the hardware and what it used and things like that. And Nintendo trying to be different. But yeah, and I also think, if you also think back, like, the N64 was the first console to have 4-player controller ports on it. No one else did that until 64 did it, and then the Dreamcast did it. The PlayStation didn't even do that. I think the PlayStation 2 ended up doing it, and of course the original Xbox did it. But like, yeah, so like Nintendo has pushed the game forward. I think the Switch is pushing the game forward again, which I think is why a lot of people seem to be behind. Like, it has to be like the Nintendo Switch has a lot of third party support, like a lot of indie support. I think they really have like an indie department where they put so much into, like, there's so many indie games that I actually have on my computer on Steam, but they're also on Switch. Like, so many games, like so many good ones. You have like Katana Zero's on there now, or like Katana Zero's on there. Dead Cells is on there. My Friend Pedro is on there. The Messenger is on there. Hollow Knight's on there. Um, Lethal League is on both of them. Lethal League, and I think Lethal League Blaze is both on there. Like, just a lot of games, like a lot of indie games. Ali Ali, and a lot of these darling indie games are now on Switch. So, and I think Nintendo has really put a lot of effort into getting indie ports onto their games, like Shovel Knight, and things like that. And so I think that's why the Switch is doing really, really well. The Switch is gonna beat the NES really, really soon. Like, it only needs just about 6 mil. Well, maybe about seven, like 7 million to pass the NES in terms of sales, in terms of hardware sales. It's right there. Like, it's insane. Like, it's right there. It's just like the Wii U, like the Wii did 922 million dollars in software sales, which is insane. Like, how much money the Wii actually made. It probably kept Nintendo afloat, and the reason why they could probably experiment with the Wii U was because of the Wii. But they probably took all that money from the Wii and then just put it into the Switch. But yeah, but the Nintendo Switch is one of the game. Like, I feel like even though the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are gonna have like the power, but they gotta compete with the Nintendo Switch. The Switch has been in the market. People have one when the coronavirus started hitting, and when the whole pandemic quarantine really started to get going, really started to affect people. Switches were selling out. Like, you can't even find the Switch. Like, I don't think you can find the Switch now. And then I read an article, like, Nintendo was even having problems with a production because of the virus and the outbreak and everything. So yeah, so you have a Switch, you have a pretty rare commodity because a lot of people are staying home, trying to play games, stay home. The Switch allows you can put Hulu and stuff on your Switch, I think, and YouTube and all that stuff. So yeah, so it's not just, it's more of a home and entertainment system that's portable and all this stuff too. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch, I think, is the future. It's the current Nintendo, is the future of Nintendo. And I feel like if we get the Nintendo Switch 2 or the Nintendo, Reverse or whatever they call it, like, even the name Switch is kind of cool because it is a Switch. It is kind of a change of pace for Nintendo, and them kind of doing them successfully doing the hybrid console and portable in one console, because the Wii U failed miserably, and it is a Switch. So I kind of like the name and Switch Lite, and I'm not sure what the next Nintendo thing is going to be, but the Switch is probably going to be, and they're still developing for the Switch, so I'm not sure what's up next for Nintendo. Well, with the PS5 and the Xbox X Series X coming out this holiday season, Nintendo might drop something next year or the year after next. Like, oh yeah, we've been working on the Switch 2, or the Switch again, or the Switch Up, whatever it's called. But yeah, but the Nintendo Switch has been very dominant, and I think it's been really, really good for Nintendo. And just excited to see what they do next, and kind of see how it competes with, everybody's gonna be excited for the PS5 and the Series X. Of course, they're the new toys. Everybody's gonna be excited for that. But I think a lot of those same people also have Switches because it's really good. Just flying, especially if you fly and stuff. Like, it's the perfect, if you're a gamer and you have to travel, and you like, if like a lot of wrestlers have them, and NBA players, if you're a trucker and stuff like that, you're on the road so much, get yourself a Switch. You have something that's reliable. It has really good battery life, pretty solid battery life. You can play in multiple ways. So, kind of my podcast on the Nintendo Switch. Really happy about it. I'm happy I bought one. I was always debating about it before I was gonna get one. Very happy I have one. I can't wait till I kind of get back to traveling and stuff and taking my Switch with me, because my Switch will probably never leave my book bag whenever I start traveling again. Whenever the kind of I feel safe to travel, again, so I can just have my Switch at the airport, just playing it, waiting on my plane. Can't wait for it. Anyway, this is a new episode of or a podcast. Thank you so much for checking it out. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I got some more ideas. I got some more episodes I'm gonna be cranking out real soon. Always, you can follow the podcast on the Anchor app, of course. Also, you can check it out on Spotify, uh, Apple Music or iTunes Music. Yeah, whatever one it is. Apple Music, Google Play Music. If you go through the Anchor homepage, or like the Anchor page for the podcast, it'll show you all the other platforms you can get the podcast. Then check it out over there. Definitely check it out, wherever you can. The podcast always goes up on YouTube, so you can check out the YouTube channel, Slicing Dicing Gaming Entertainment. I always put the podcast up on the YouTube channel, so definitely check it out there. Of course, just stop by the YouTube channel as a whole. Just check it out. If you like gaming, if you like food, I got some of that stuff too. I stream on Twitch. If you didn't know, Slicing Dicing Gaming ENT over on Twitch. I don't really have a schedule for the streams, but I stream whenever I can. I usually try to stream on Sundays and Mondays a lot of times, or like Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It just kind of depends. Sometimes on Wednesdays, sometimes Tuesdays. I don't know. I don't really have a real schedule. I just kind of stream whenever I kind of have the energy to stream. And always check out the website www.slicingdicinggaming.com or just slicingdicinggaming.com. A little bit easier. And then there's links to all the things I just mentioned on the website. And of course, there's links to the Digital Chef merchandise page over on Teesprings. Get yourself some merch, buy a shirt, buy a throw pillow, get some stickers, get a hoodie, support your boy. Always and forever, slicing, dicing, gaming. It's not just a motto, it's a lifestyle. I'll see you next podcast. Later.